Hey everyone, welcome back to the first episode of Girl Take Note in 2025. I am Shaunie Sanders, your host, and I'm excited to kick off this new year with you. I can't believe it's 2025. It's finally here. I was so ready for 2024 to go, and it's finally here. And I feel like the year just kind of flew by, but also it was so much going on. I was just ready for it to go. This is Girl Take Note, a podcast for women who are looking to turn their dreams into reality. But it left me with so many lessons, some that I'm going to be carrying forward with me and others that I'm absolutely leaving behind. So that's what I want to talk about today. And today's episode is all about reflection and release. And I want to share some of my biggest lessons that 2024 taught me, both the good and the hard, and why I'm letting some of those lessons stay in the past. And I think it's so important to start the year with clarity. So let's dive into this together. I told you guys that this year I'm all about intentionality. I'm all about focus. I'm all about just being more faithful and understanding what God has for me, because it was tough last year. It was absolutely tough. And it taught me so much about myself last year. It showed me some of the things I didn't like about myself, but it showed me a lot of things that I was surprised to see about myself in terms of how strong I am to handle certain things and to deal with multiple things happening to me at one time. And if you resonate with that, then this episode is definitely going to be for you, because I know there's probably a lot of lessons that you've learned as well in 2024 that you feel like, you know what, I'm really going to do things differently in 2025. Like I said in the last solo episode, it's not about resolutions. It's not about all these goals you want to achieve, but it's just about doing things differently to see a different result. And I mean, really doing them differently. And this episode, I don't want you to think this episode is about dwelling on the past, right? It's about taking stock of what served us and what didn't, and what we're ready to let go of as we step boldly into 2025. So as usual, my girls, I want you to grab your notebooks, and I just want you to sit back and listen. And this is going to be a powerful conversation that I think we all need to have with ourselves when it comes to how do we really want our 2025 to look for us this year? And how do we really want to live? This is the beginning of the rest of our lives. And for me, because I be on January 8th, this is the beginning of a whole new chapter for me. And so how do I want to live in 2025? This is the beginning of something new. So let's look back. In 2024, I learned that perfectionism was holding me back, whether it was in my business, my personal life, or even relationships, right? I found myself constantly starving to be perfect. And guess what? It is like exhausting to try to do everything perfectly. You know, even when it comes to the podcast, I wouldn't release episodes unless I had the perfect artwork, the perfect show notes, the perfect video description, the perfect setup, the perfect background. And I feel like I put so much into that, even with my process of how I release episodes, promote episodes, all those different things I was on. When I tell you this year, I'm really about simplifying. I'm really about simplifying my life this year. Because professionalism doesn't mean high standards. It means fear or failure. And I realized that fear was stopping me from taking risks I think that I could have led to so much growth for me. So in 2025, I'm leaving behind the need to be perfect, and I'm going to embrace the progress over perfection. Because it's not always about being everything looking so perfect, having a perfect time to do something, the perfect day or the perfect money, having the right amount of money. I just feel like a lot of us in life wait around for the perfect time to, I don't know, get married, to have children, to buy a home. We're always looking for that perfect time. We're always looking for everything to be perfect in our lives. And that is so unrealistic. And moving it forward in 2025, I just know that I'm not looking for perfection. I'm not looking for perfection in people. I'm not looking for perfection in myself. I'm not looking for perfection in my process. I'm looking for progress. I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for movement. That's what I'm focused on. And I encourage you to do the same, because sometimes when we try to sit back and want things to be so perfect, things end up not even moving at all because we're so afraid to take a step. We're so afraid to take a step because we feel like, oh, it's not perfect yet. I don't want to put it out until it's perfect. There is no perfect. There's no perfect people, no perfect person, no perfect relationship, no perfect marriage, none of it. Not even a perfect job. I'm going to tell you that, because that shit can be taken from you. So I think it's about progress. I think it's about moving forward. And I think it's about just learning. And one thing I'm learning is that done is better than perfect. And I've seen so much growth when I finally hit the publish or said something to even that it wasn't perfect, right? Or said something that wasn't perfect in an episode, trying to say the right thing, even in my episodes, to make sure that you guys love these episodes, make sure they're perfect. And really, I felt like when you strive for perfectionism, you lose your authenticity. You really do. You lose your authentic self. And a lot of times I felt like in some of my episodes, I wasn't really myself. I didn't present my authentic self. And I just want to be more myself. I don't want to sound robotic. I don't want to sound like anybody else. I just want to be me. And I want that to be enough for for me to be me. So yes, I am leaving perfectionism in 2024, baby. They can have that shit and eat it up because it's not coming with me this year. It's not here now and it's not going to be. So I'm not carrying that around with me. And another big lesson I learned from 2024 was the importance of boundaries. And I think we've talked about this before. And let me tell you, I used to feel so guilty about setting them. But here's what I learned. Boundaries are a form of self-respect and self-care. It's a form of self-care. And I know y'all don't know. I know y'all don't remember that, but it is. And I know I said this before, because whether it's saying no to just overcommitting or carving out time for myself, boundaries, I think, have given me a space to recharge and show up fully for the things that really matter most to me. And I think that's what we have to do when it comes to setting boundaries. And I mean, not just, I think we're in a space in our lives or in this world or in this nation, whatever you want to call it, where I think people are really understanding how to set boundaries with other people, right? Stop overcommitting, start saying yes to everything, start taking your time back. But I think one of the things I also had to learn is how to set boundaries with myself. How to say, Shaunie, listen, I would get up, I would work out, I have breakfast, I come to my desk and I would work all day long. All day long, because when you don't have a job, you want to compensate for something else that you're not doing because you feel like you should be working. So I'm at my desk working all day long, right? All day long. And I don't set boundaries with myself to say, hey, you know what? This is a time you need to stop. You need to go sit down and have lunch. You need to recharge. You need to let your mind rest. You can't think of another thing to do because why? You're thinking about how you can make everything perfect, right? And I learned that I have to set boundaries with myself. I have to say, no, you're going to quit. Your quitting time for working is at this time, and you're going to stop at this time. So I really had to put myself on a schedule, and not just put myself on that schedule, but also commit to it and do it. Because it's one thing to make the schedule. It's another thing for me to hit that snooze button and be like, oh, I'm not worried about that. I'm going to continue working. And I will work until late night hours, still not feeling like I got anything done. And still feeling like exhausted. And so I'm just at a place now where I'm like, I have to learn how to set boundaries with myself, to know when I need to tell myself to quit, to stop, to take a moment, to breathe. Right. And so that's what I'm going to do, because yesterday morning I got up, I worked out as usual. I had breakfast, and when I have breakfast, I'll just bring it to my desk and I'll just have breakfast. I intentionally said, no, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to go sit at my breakfast nook and I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take a moment and enjoy my breakfast, enjoy my coffee in the morning. Look at the beautiful snowfall outside because it's snowing here where I am in Maryland, and just enjoy it. And I felt so good about that. I don't know. It just felt peaceful at that moment to not feel like I had to rush and hurry up and eat my breakfast and come over to my desk and work and get some work done. Apply for this, apply for that, work on content here, work on content there. I just took a moment. And I think that's exactly how I'm going to approach things moving forward, because I have to set boundaries myself. So I encourage you to take some note in terms of like how you're going throughout your day, right? And understand that boundaries are something sometimes we even have to take for ourselves. I am no longer staring at the day by diving into emails or social media. I'm taking time and I'm taking space to create boundaries for myself and know when it's time to stop something, to stop scrolling, go to bed, get a good night's sleep, to get up, work out, enjoy your day, have your breakfast. I'm taking note and I'm taking time for that. So I encourage you guys to do the same thing if it's something that you feel like you're struggling with when it comes to boundaries. And the third lesson, I think this is probably the third lesson that a lot of us probably need to leave in 2024. A lot of people do. And I think we've all fallen into this comparison trap at some point, right? Social media, I think, makes it so easy for us to look at someone else's highlight reel and feel like we're behind. But in 2024, I realized that everyone's journey is different, and comparing only distracts us from our own growth. So instead of comparing, I'm focusing on celebrating my own milestones, even the smallest ones, and cheering for others without feeling like it's going to take away from my own progress. And I think that's important too. right? Just I always talk about celebrate the milestone, celebrate each step. I talk about it, guys, but I don't do it myself. And that's what I mean by intentionality this year. I talk about so much on my podcast and other things that I do, but I am not practicing what I preach. And that's why this year I'm being so intentional about everything. I mean, people might think I'm going to be crazy, but I'm celebrating my small wins and I'm not really going to care how they feel. But being intentional about showing yourself grace, showing yourself some compassion, showing yourself that you're proud of yourself, right? It's okay to do it. It's okay to do it. I'm not going to no longer try to compare my podcast to those who are big podcasters when they've been doing this for years ahead of me, which is why they are where they are. And they have the type of audience that they have. I'm not going to compare myself who comes out with one and it just kind of blows up for them and they're jetting off into the sunset. I'm only running my own race. I'm staying where I know I am comfortable here, pushing myself beyond my boundaries and really running my own thing and really pushing my podcast forward. No more comparing to my podcast, my business, my life, career, job, weight, how I look, nothing no more. And I think that's something we all need to work on because social media will get us caught up in that in so many ways. One of my favorite quotes I'm carrying into 2025 with me is, where you're planted, your time will come. And I think that's important. Bloom where you're planted because your time will come. But also remember, in order to bloom, you have to plant the seeds. You can't do that in 2025. You can't say, oh, I'm just going to wait for God to do it. Well, that's great. You're going to wait for God to do it, but you're going to have to put your faith into action. You're going to have to plant the seeds. God can't do something if you ain't never planted. So you can bloom where you are because your time will come, but you need to plant the seed. If you've been wanting to do something, if you said 2024 was going to be a year that you start your podcast, your business, buy a home, looking for a relationship really seriously, then and you did not do it, then 2025 is the time for you to do it. It's time for you to do it. Stop procrastinating. You have everything you need. You just have to put it into action. So, and run your own race and don't compare your life or your journey to anyone else's because it's never going to be the same. Don't even do it. You're just going to make yourself upset. So to recap the lessons that we talked about today, I'm leaving behind perfectionism. I'm leaving behind guilt around boundaries that I set for myself and others too, and the weight of comparison. These things don't serve me anymore. And I encourage you to reflect on what you're ready to let go of too. It's not always easy, but releasing what no longer serves us creates space for things that will. And I think that's what's important. So I want you to take a moment this week and ask yourself, what am I leaving behind in 2024? What lessons am I carrying forward? And I want you to write it down and I wanted you to use it as a guide for your year ahead. Because those lessons that you're going to use for your year ahead is what's going to really help you progress and move forward. Now, as always, if this episode resonated with you, I love to hear what lessons you're leaving behind and what you're excited to carry into 2025. Feel free to DM me on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're listening to it. Make sure you follow us on all social channels. We are at Girl Take Note Pod, and share your thoughts and review. We love to get reviewed because it helps us so much to know what's connecting with you. So we'll know what kind of shows you're really looking for, what kind of episodes you're looking to learn from. And if you know someone who needs a little encouragement to start off the year right, share this episode with them. Thank you guys for tuning in to this reflective episode of Girl Take Note. Remember, the best is yet to come. So until next time, take care, take note, and let's make 2025 incredible.